everybody. Hope you all are having a wonderful weekend. It is Saturday, January 25th, I believe, 2020. I almost said 19. Going to try to share the birth story of when the triplets were born. And I think in one of my videos after they were first born, I talked about sharing what happened like in the next couple weeks, and it just didn't happen. I think it was just so many emotions going on at the time. It was a lot to process, and so it was hard to share. But I think I'm ready now. Hopefully I can remember most of the details. On my last video, my last pregnancy update, I think it was like Friday. I think I was like 30 weeks and some days. And I remember that Saturday, so a couple days later, the next day, we were going to my dad's house. We go over there a lot for family get-togethers and stuff, especially in the summertime. And I remember putting my pants on, and at this point, I thought that I would make it to, for sure 32 weeks, hopefully 34, 35, but my goal was like 37 weeks, 36, 37. 36 weeks is full term for triplets. And I was 31 weeks exactly. And it was like all of a sudden it hit me. I just had this feeling come over me, and I knew it was going to be soon. I didn't know if it was going to be like that day, 2 days, 2 weeks, but I knew it was going to happen a lot sooner. Just going to hang out with me. You say hi? Oh, goodness, excuse you. This is Asher. He just woke up from his nap. I'm coming to the realization that it's going to be happening a lot sooner than what I thought. And I was just crying. And my husband was like, Chris was like, "What's wrong? Why are you crying? Are you okay? We don't have to go to your dad's." And I'm like, "No, it's not that. It's going to be soon. It's happening soon." Well, fast forward to Tuesday, and it's the 18th, Wednesday the 18th, sorry, Tuesday the 18th. And my husband, I remember he came home from work, and I had asked him to make goulash because he had bought stuff to make goulash, and it sounded good. And so I ate some, and within like 30 minutes, I had a contraction. And at this point, I think Monday night, I had been having contractions like all night long. I was like so tired. But I remember kind of waking up and feeling like, oh, that's a bad contraction. Oh, that's a bad contraction. But I was just like, it's just Braxton Hicks. It's fine. It's nothing. I just didn't say anything. We were watching TV. I was sitting in the chair beside the bed, and Chris was on the bed. And 10 minutes later, I had another one. So I went ahead and got my phone out, and I went ahead and entered the time. I had an app on my phone. And Chris looked at me, and he was like, "Contraction?" I said, "Yeah, but it's okay. It's not a big deal. I think it's just Braxton Hicks." And so 10 minutes later, another contraction. And I'm like, oh, crap. And he was like, another one? He's like, "I think we should go in just to be safe." And I'm like, "No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm okay. I'm okay. They'll go away. I'm walk around for a minute, drink some water, lay on my side, And so I didn't even get up yet. I was still sitting there because I was crocheting. And what you doing? You okay? Who's that cute baby? It's you. You're so cute. I had another one 10 minutes later, and it was strong, like a strong contraction. And I was like, okay. So I went ahead and messaged my mom, Christine, who was going to watch the kids for me. And I was like, "Hey, I just want you to know." Actually, no, she didn't watch the kids at that point. They were still at the house. But I was like, "Hey, I just want you to know that I might be going in just to kind of get things stopped." And, because, because I'm having some strong contractions. And so we decided to go ahead and go in. I packed a small bag. I didn't even pack everything I needed. And we headed up there. And I actually have a couple videos of us on our way up there. It was like stormy. So I'll go ahead and put those in if they still are. So it's June 18th, and I've been having contractions like on and off the last couple of days. And then about, what time was it? Like 5:45-ish. 5:45, I started having contractions like pretty regularly. I started keeping track. They're like every 7 to 10 minutes. And so, and they were getting pretty strong. They're still every 10 minutes. I haven't had another like super strong one like I did before I was like, okay, let's go. but I was like literally like in tears because it was hurting so bad. So I just want to make sure that we do everything to keep them in as long as possible. And if, you know, if they are coming, then to get the steroid shot and all that. So we're gonna go ahead and head up to Wesley to see lightning, to see what they say. So yeah, today I'm 31 weeks and 3 days, so still pretty early. So yeah. We got to the hospital and it was like 7-ish, 7:30. Got checked in and they strapped the monitors to my belly. They strapped 3 on there and they got all 3 heartbeats right away, which was crazy because the hospital here, it took them a while to try to get them all. And so, of course, they have multiples more often than we do here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And I felt bad going in because I'm like, oh, what if it's nothing? You know, that's always what I'm thinking. But at this point, I'm like, there's 3 babies in there. I want to make sure. I get in there and they go ahead and they check my urine and all of that. I get an IV in, or they take my blood, something. And I'm not dehydrated, so I'm like, that's weird. Because I thought, okay, I figured they would just, you know, give me some fluids, give me a shot, and I would go home. I didn't think I would be there overnight. And so they had, one of the nurse practitioners came in. And so she checked me and, oh, did I wake you up? I'm sorry. Look at that cute baby. This is Oliver. And she told me that I was dilated to a 4 and like 60% effaced. And I was like confused. I was like, okay, so does that mean I have to stay the night? And she just looked at me like I was crazy. And she was like, yes. And I was like, at that moment when she looked at me, I knew that I wasn't going back home. And the doctor came in and she was like, yeah, you won't be going back to your town. You'll be in the hospital till they're here. And so at that point, I was just like trying not to cry, and because I was so scared for the babies and I was worried. And then at this point too, I thought I was going to still try for a vaginal delivery. And that was really stressful because so many people were like, that's dangerous, and you know, I'd never had a C-section, so I was terrified. They recommended that I go ahead, I'd never had an epidural either. They recommended that I go ahead and get an epidural and see if that slows the contractions down. I was moved to another room, and in that room they gave me an epidural. And I didn't get much sleep that night. My parents stayed the night there, and they like slept on the floor, I think. Come here. And I was having contractions all night, but I ended up being dilated to a 6. The epidural did help to to slow the contractions, and when they had given me the epidural, I was dilated to a 6. So, and I thought too, I wanted to go ahead and get the epidural just in case they had to do an emergency C-section. That way I wouldn't have to be like knocked out or something. And the night before I even switched rooms, let me backtrack. They gave me 1 steroid shot. It was like 11 o'clock at night. And so I was going to get the second one at 11 a.m. They had given me like an hour of magnesium, and that was horrible. If anybody's ever had that, you know what I'm talking about. I had all that done before I switched rooms that night. And then I switched rooms, and they gave me the epidural and all of that, and we got settled in for the night. And the next morning, my doctor came in, and she was like, we could go ahead and shoot for a vaginal delivery. She said it could be 48 hours. It could be 2 weeks even. She said she'd seen people dilated like that and still go another 2 weeks. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be here for a while. I'm going to be on bed rest in the hospital for a while, trying to think of, you know, getting the kids around. And I'm thinking, okay, my new goal, 34 weeks. I was 31 and 3 weeks at this point. So I was thinking another couple weeks was my goal. I fall asleep finally. I didn't get much sleep that night. And I finally fall asleep, and Chris was asleep, and my parents had left, went home back to their house an hour away because they figured, okay, it'll be a couple days, couple weeks possibly. So they went back to the house to get things figured out with my kids and their kids. What's wrong with you? Why are you being squirmy? Why are you being squirmy? So I wake up to my doctor coming in. But she comes in and she's like, the hospital doesn't think it's a good idea with how early they are. You're probably going to have a C-section. if you would agree to that. I'm just like terrified of everything, so I'm like, whatever you guys say, probably, yeah. And I'm half asleep still. What, honey? And she's talking to me, and Chris is still sleepy. And she says, here's the thing. She said that every time, she said she's been watching the monitor, and every time I have a contraction, one of the baby's heart rate is dropping. She said, I really think that we should do a C-section, and I think we should do it right now. And so I was like, what? Like, I went from waiting a couple of days to 2 weeks to waking up, finding out we were doing the C-section right then. I had never had a C-section. Like, I was terrified. I was shaking so bad. Sorry, different day now. Anyways, I was shaking so bad, like, and I honestly, I can't remember all of the details of what happened. I know they gave me more medicine. The anesthesiologist, he was like so nice. He helped Chris and I like a lot. Chris was like, is she supposed to be shaking that much? And he was like, yeah, it's normal. And like, I felt like at one point that I couldn't breathe, and he told me to put my hand on my chest and breathe in and out, and you can feel your chest rising, like you're breathing. It just is a lot of pressure, and it feels like pressure because you're numb. Once they had cut me open, and I remember them taking out baby A, which we didn't know who was who at that point, but they took out baby A, which was Oliver, and they didn't bring him to me right away. I didn't hear him crying right away, and so I was worried. And I remember when they took him out, I could literally feel that pressure where he was. I could feel that he was gone out. And then I felt where baby B was, which was Asher. I felt them take him out, and that like I could feel that he was not there anymore. It's so weird. And then I felt them scooting baby C, which was Abel. I felt them pushing him down, and then I felt him come out. Like, it was weird feeling each one of them coming out. And I remember after they took Oliver out, I could still feel that Abel and Asher were in there, that baby C and baby B were still in there. And it's just so weird, like, remembering that. And after Asher came out, they brought him over to me. They got him cleaned up and over to me. And I still don't know why it took him a while to get Oliver over to me. You say hi? After I seen Asher, I seen Oliver, and then they brought over Abel because he was the last to come out. I'm trying to remember exactly. Trying to talk. After that, like, I did not throw up one time during my whole pregnancy. No, I did. I threw up one time. I had acid reflux, and in the middle of the night, like 2 o'clock in the morning, I sat up and I threw up. That was the only time I threw up the whole pregnancy, okay? Literally minutes after they were out, I was puking everywhere. I threw up for like 24 hours. They had given me those little bags, and I think it was because of the medicine they gave me, and so I had them like switch my medication shortly after that. I don't remember what I was taking. I think they gave me like morphine or something, and people like that stuff. Like, oh, it was horrible. I felt so sick. I couldn't eat, and I was starving. It was awful. I don't know why they gave it to me after they were born. I don't know. I mean, I was in a lot of pain. After they were out, they got taken to the NICU, and my husband got to go down with them. He stayed with them, and I got wheeled back into my room, and I was in that room for a while. I can't remember. And then we got switched to another floor of the hospital, like after labor and delivery. So I don't know. In my town, we just have one room and we stay in that the whole time. This one, I went to one room, and then I went to another room, then I went to the operating room, then I went back to the second room, and then I went to a whole another room for like 4 days. So it was crazy. On my way to the other room, they let me go by and see the babies. And at first, I actually told Chris that I didn't want to go. And that was because I was throwing up so much. And so I was worried that I was going to throw up in the NICU. And they're really, you don't want to do that in the NICU. Like, they super got to watch germs, like, super closely. But I managed to not throw up at all when I was in the NICU, so yay. And I got to see all 3 of the boys. We didn't pick their names out at that point. I don't think we had their names picked out yet. I think the next day I went and seen them, and then we picked their names out, or later on after the medicine wore off, maybe. I can't even remember, guys. It was like, everything's kind of a blur. I was also on pain medication. But yeah, I threw up for like 24 hours straight. Anytime I drank anything, I would throw up. Anytime I couldn't eat. It was horrible. But I think I picked up on like day 2, the second day, I think. I can't remember, but so that's basically the birth story. If you guys have questions, you can ask me.